Shalom and welcome back. The Talmud records a question. What is the most important principle in Judaism, in the Torah? Of all the principles in the Torah, is it Shema Yisrael? What is it? So it brings down three different viewpoints. The first one is the viewpoint of Hillel and Rabbi Akiva. V'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You shall love your neighbor as yourself, which is also called the Golden Rule. Obviously, to love another person is the most important thing. That's what the world should be all involved with, is being nice to other people, loving other people, etc. Another rabbi says no. He thinks that the most important principle is actually found in the book of Genesis, and that is that man was created b'tselem Elokim, in the image of God. That if we're created in the image of God, then we will act nicely towards each other, and we will do good in the world. Because after all, we are not animals, we are human beings in God's image, and we want to act godly. There's a third opinion. The third opinion is actually the mitzvah of appointing judges and officers in all of our lands, which is this week's Torah portion. Shoftim v'shotrim titein lecha b'chol sharecha, you shall appoint judges and officers, meaning policemen, in all of your lands to mete out righteous judgment. Now, actually, the first two of these questions really are very important also. Loving your fellow, um, being kind with each other in the image of God are really not mitzvahs, so to speak, but they are imperatives that we should act in a proper way, in a nice way. When it comes to judging people and appointing policemen, this is actually an imperative that is very practical. Okay, do you love the other person? You don't love the other person, but nevertheless, act justly with that other person. In this case, Judaism was centuries ahead of itself. In a time 3,000 years ago, over 3,000 years ago, that people were acting very, very poorly towards each other, where there were dictators, there was violence, and there was complete injustice in the world. The Torah comes along and says, no, you need to act justly and properly with each other. You love them, you don't love them, it doesn't matter. Act properly, appoint courts, make courts, and make sure the courts are fair, and make sure that the judges can't be bribed, and make sure that there are policemen to enforce the judgments of the courts. This was a radical, new, different idea at that time. Today, in Western societies, it's part of our very fabric. We could not exist without courts, without judges, without police, without enforcement of judgment. And indeed, the laws are very just by and large. We're always reevaluating them and looking at them to make sure that that is the case. And certainly when it comes to fairness and judgment, this is really a fundamental part of our very existence without, in many cases, us even knowing about that. And by doing that, we create a system, a society that is fair, that is honest, that's judged, that's just. This is really the most important thing of all. As it says in Pirkei Avos, if it wasn't for government, meaning the laws of the government, man would literally swallow up each other. We would be chaos. There would be anarchy. We couldn't live in such a situation like that. So again, the Torah teaches us very, very important principles of life. Whether we feel one way or another, it doesn't matter. The most important thing is how we act with another person. That's a very important rule of life. This coming Monday, Labor Day, it's University City, we're having a picnic at Stanley Park. Everyone's invited, whether you're a part of our community or not. Bring your own dinner. We're providing drinks and desserts for everybody. And we'll gather together in the park and have a lot of fun with games and music and things like that. We encourage you all to come and join us. It'll be a lot of fun. Again, this Monday, starting at 4 o'clock, and it'll go for several hours after that. We hope you'll join us. Candlelighting this Shabbos in San Diego is at 6:54. I want to wish you all a very good Shabbos.